Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elijah Harrison. I'm an opportunity navigator with Pipelines and Pathways at the University of Virginia. And I have here with me my colleague, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Reyshawn Jones. I am also an opportunity navigator with UVA Pipelines and Pathways. And thank you all for joining us today.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So today we're going to be doing a workshop on how to create a resume or create a standout resume if you don't have one, if you have one already, to refine it. So I'm going to share my screen here so we can get started with the presentation. All right. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
All right. Great. So yes, how to write a strong resume, and this is presented to you by Pipelines and Pathways. So why a strong resume matters? Well, your resume is your first impression with employers, and first impressions always matter. Think back to the times when you meet someone for the first time. Usually those initial interactions paint a solid picture of how you think of that person. So those first impressions are very important. A well-structured resume will help you stand out from other applicants. You're not the only applicant. There are sometimes hundreds of applicants depending on the job you're applying to, and you want to make sure you stand out. And employers, especially with those applications that have hundreds of applicants, will spend mere seconds reviewing your resume because they've got a lot to get through. And a good resume, of course, will increase your chances of, at the very least, landing an interview. And if you stay tuned with our workshop series, we also do an how to ace an interview workshop. So that'll be uh, later in the coming week. So what would you include in your resume? Some of the essentials, of course, the most basic is your contact information, your first and last name, your phone number, your email address, and if you have a LinkedIn profile, include that as well. A professional summary, it is optional, but it is very impactful. I always recommend having a professional summary, and that's just a few sentences that highlight some of your skills and experiences in relation to that job. And then, of course, your work experience. Um, you'll reverse chronologically order your work experience um, with your most recent one being at the top. And then you'll have the job title, the employer, the location, and then those dates of employment. If you can't remember the exact date, the month is fine. Um,
Yeah.
and then having both, go ahead.
No, I was about to say with that, if you can't remember, I always ask my participants, well, do you remember what the season was? And so you can definitely, figure out by thinking about whether it's cold, if it's sunny, or if it's snow on the ground. So that also helps pinpoint a date for you as well.
Good point. Um, speaking of points, bullet points, you want to have those to keep everything organized. And then if you have any certifications or education, you want to include those as well, along with the uh, graduation completion date or the certification completion and expiration date if there is one. So really just wanting to be as detail oriented as possible when filling out this information. Your skills, both soft and hard skills, you want to include those. And really quickly, the difference between a hard skill versus soft skill. Does anyone know what the difference is? Anyone want to take a stab at it? So hard skills are more technical. Examples include um, Microsoft Suite proficiency. So you're proficient in Microsoft Suite, which includes Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Excel, spreadsheet, things like that. And then soft skills are more um, human behavior. So customer service oriented or communication. Um, if that makes sense. So those are the differences. Additional sections, uh, if you have any volunteer experience, especially if it's relevant, include that, and then any awards or achievements.
All right, formatting tips for a professional resume. Use a clean, easy to read font, like Arial, Calibri, Times New Roman. Those are really good. Keep it one page unless you have an extensive experience. Use bullet points for clarity and avoid long paragraphs and excessive wording. Remember, the employer looks at your resume for only like, I believe, 6 to 10 seconds. And they looking at hundreds of other resumes as well. Ensure proper spacing and margin for a balanced layout. And it's always good to save and submit as a PDF unless otherwise specified. Sometimes if you save it and upload as a Word document, it's not as easy to read and it doesn't upload properly. Now, here's a good example of a resume that's really easy to read. The formatting is good and the layout is really well as well.
Yeah, and minus that tear on the bottom, obviously that is just to show the top part of the resume. You can clearly see that it looks boring. And as crazy as it sounds, you want them to look not boring in a way in that you're only using the black and white colors. You're not adding any, unless you're applying to a graphic designer position, you're expected to use easy to read uh, formatting. So clearly this is that.
And it's funny that you said boring because go back for a second. Yeah, that you said boring. Like you say, it's easy to read. It's not all over the place, and it's not really boring because your skills and what you put on a resume what makes it more exciting. So,
That's a good point. You're not distracted by the resume itself, rather you're consumed by the content. So yeah.
all right. Speaking of distraction, here are some bad examples of resumes, some bad resumes. All right. You have the amateur graphic designer, as Elijah said. You have a guy with his shades on. You got all kinds of font going on here. Then you have this picture with, I guess, the incline of the money. This is a really terrible example of a resume.
Yeah, you definitely don't want graphics in there, or that uh, shadow effect on his name. None
Yeah.
of that.
And then you have the formatting disaster. Here, if you look at it, it's not aligned up where it says have the contact information. You have a line underneath the name there. Also, it's just using all kinds of different format. It's not consistent. All right. And then another format abuser. This here, they use one that is not really easy to read. I have to squint to see it. It's just not good at all. So you want something that is easy to read, like Roman times, as we gave the example earlier. So these are
Yeah,
great examples of bad resume.
right, right. Yeah, that font is not easily readable. So Calibri, Arial, Times New Roman.
All right. So comparison side by side. Can anyone tell me what they see? What makes the one on the left better than the one on the right from what we just explained?
The one on the left is just not busy, which is what you want.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah, no distractions, right? You're
No
not distracted
distractions.
by extra colors, fonts.
Yep, and then the summary is at the bottom on the right. The bad example one, the summary on the right is just your summary stands out. Of course, your name, but your summary stands out right then and there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you don't want to include a picture, right?
So we don't
So
need to put our picture.
I would not, unless
Oh,
otherwise specified.
Correct.
okay.
Um, yeah. Right. So when it comes to writing strong bullet points, uh, you want to use action verbs at the beginning of each bullet point. So examples are managed or designed or implemented, led. These are all action verbs uh, to explain some of the job duties. And then quantifying your impact when possible. So an example here is increased sales by 20% or trained 5 new employees. So if in your previous work experience, you can think of a time where you had to do a duty where there's a quantifiable uh, something you can quantify, state it. They like to see numbers, and it just allows for the employer to visually see you in action. Um, and then focusing on your achievements rather than the duties themselves. So here's an example. Um, a job duty was just being responsible for customer service. That's the job duty. But focusing on the achievement of that job duty is assisted over 50 customers per day, resolving inquiries and improving customer satisfaction by 11%. Now, how they got those numbers or the 11% improvement satisfaction rate, I'm not entirely sure. But for those things you can quantify, you want to think about that and then articulate it. Here's some really common resume mistakes, typos and grammatical mistakes. We have technology today that can combat this pretty easily, but it's important to make sure that we are aware um, and proofreading. So one thing I like to point out, other than, of course, the typos, is the comma or the periods at the end of each bullet.
Right.
Um, if you're going to have it, have it consistently throughout. If not, small details. It's not like the employer is going to look at that and be like, oh, we can't hire this person because they didn't add a period at the end of this bullet. Not at all. That's not the case, but you just want consistency, you want professionalism. Wrong tense, I was building. Well, if you're currently working in that position, you are building. And then we also looked at some of those action verbs. So uh, think of an action verb to include for that. Passive voice, so a word created, again, present. So another very common resume mistake is using an unprofessional email address. We've all been there. I feel like a lot of our first email addresses were, some outlandish thought or thing. And so we all have those, or most of us at least. Try to not use those. And if you don't have one, create a new email that's more professional with maybe your name and a series of digits, but you don't want anything like dragonboy@gmail.com or
Great.
crazygirl007, so we've seen
Yeah,
some,
we've seen some very strange email addresses. You'd be
yeah,
surprised. A lot of employers, and not saying all, but a lot, as soon as they see that email address and it's not professional at all, it automatically go into a different pile. Like, and
yeah,
there are systems that are out there that actually it goes your email, your resume go through, and then it automatically put in the rejection file. So you definitely want
Exactly.
a professional email address, nothing with too many numbers
Mm.
or nothing just out of the ordinary, very professional.
Yeah. And remember, first impressions matter. So if they're seeing your resume for the first time and you've got some outlandish email, what are they going to think of you? What is that initial thought? It's not going to be positive. So, keep these things in mind. Listing outdated or irrelevant work experience. So, um, for irrelevant jobs, so depending on how much work experience, really, if you've only got, 2 jobs under your belt of worth of work experience, then you may want to include both of those to show that you have at least some work experience. But if you're someone who has, maybe over 8 jobs under your belt, then it's okay to omit those irrelevant jobs because you really want to keep that resume as concise as possible and to the point. 1 page ideally. Short stints. So if you were in a job for, let's say, 2, 3 months, I would not include that because that's a red flag to employers. It shows lack of accountability. Unless it was of course, it was a short-lived job, like it was a contracted job
Contract.
or an internship. But if you left prematurely, then um, unless it's any of the experience is relevant to the position you're applying to, then I would keep it out. And if
Excuse
you
me,
were 5, yes, go ahead.
sorry for interrupting. So
No.
how far back should we go on with mentioning our experiences?
So it just depends. If you have, let's say your first job you've ever had is however many years back, that is your oldest piece of work experience, but it is the most relevant to the job you're applying to today, I would say include that work experience, even if it's however many years old. Um, if you have 10 different jobs worth of experience, that's too much to include in a resume. So I would condense it to only include those jobs that will support your application, that are relevant to the job. So if it's your first job, maybe the job you had in the middle and your most recent job, leave all the others out. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. And then sometimes if it is a gap with on the resume, like say you did I guess custodial work 1 year, and then 3 years later you put on your resume you did housekeeping or something like that. There is a little gap that job in it. You can always explain it, but like he said, you don't want so many jobs on there that's not relevant to the job you're applying for. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you
So
so much.
it's so, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Uh, I'm sorry. Who somebody was speaking before me? I interrupted you. I'm sorry. Who's? Oh, okay. So it's okay to have some gaps there. So they don't think it's weird that you have like a gap here, a gap there. So it's fine.
Yeah, so it is fine. They it'll come up likely during an interview if they are concerned about the gaps. Um, but yeah, another thing so if you are worried about those gaps, you could include simply the job title and the dates you work there and the organization, but leaving out uh job duty description just
yeah,
to save just to save the page. But there's many ways to go about it. But the point of your resume is to paint a picture of you being the ideal candidate. And I understand how leaving out some work can pose concerns for showing lack of work experience or gaps in work experience. So it really just comes down to um, yeah, I don't think they're going to come to conclusions thinking that you didn't work for 5 years because it's not included in your resume.
One thing I want to, I mentioned some of my participants. So if they're concerned about, having gaps, what I'll do is, like Elijah said, go ahead and tailor your resume to the actual job that you're applying for. Make sure you list those jobs that is towards that job. But if you have gaps, where it says what he mentioned earlier, additional information, you can put that additional information in without having all the job description. You can do the company, the title, and the duration time that you work there. But you don't have to go into depth about that position because it has nothing to really do with the position you're applying for.
Thank you. I have another question. So, as we're speaking of relevant jobs, for example, um, right now I would like to apply for something in the medical field, but what the jobs I did before has nothing to do with the medical field.
Mhm.
Like, for example, like being a teacher or a translator. So, are those jobs relevant?
Yes, every job, you would be surprised. There will always be transferable skills in every job you work. And it's just being able to identify those transferable skills and articulate them that will allow you to sell yourself as the ideal candidate, if that makes sense. So if you were working previously as a teacher, some of those skills entail communication, accountability, scheduling, timeliness, things like that, right? And you can transfer that into a role in the medical field. Um, yeah.
Okay, so uh, do I need to list those skills that I have or had from the previous jobs?
If it's relevant, I would say include them, yes. And we're
Okay.
going to actually show you all how to tailor your resumes to pretty much any job you're interested in applying to using AI. So it'll be pretty seamless.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. So, if you're fired from a job, then I would include it only if it shows valuable experience or skills for that job. Um, it says maybe there because if you left on a bad note, then it may not be in your best interest to include that work experience. Usually fired entails bad note, but sometimes people get let go for other reasons that may be out of their control or out of the supervisor's control. And in that regard, maybe they didn't leave on a bad note. So it really just depends. If you have, like I said earlier, an old job, so 15 years old, they generally are not relevant unless they are showcasing unique and relevant skills. And then, of course, honesty is key. So if your background check reveals omitted jobs, be upfront for why you left them, if it comes up to them. So, on top of the resume, we're also going to have a cover letter to be created using AI. And just really quickly, looking at what is included in a cover letter, at the top, you'll have your first, your last name, your contact information, your phone number, your address, and your email. If you don't want to put your street address, you can just put your city and your name. Same goes with your resume. You want to put the current date. And then the hiring manager's contact information is number 3. Number 4 is your greeting, and then your opening, and then body paragraphs, and then closing paragraphs, and then sign off. I'm not going to teach you how to write because I'm not an English teacher, but cover letters are something you should highly consider including in your applications, especially for those more competitive roles, as it will set you apart from other candidates, and you can really uh, you know, articulate why you want this role and why you're the best fit. So it's an opportunity. So I'm going to show you all how to tailor your resume using ChatGPT. And if you don't have a resume, stick around because we will have a tool for you to use to have a resume created. So a generic resume will not work for every job application. I've seen too many times where individuals will have one application that they use for every job, and they're not, the resumes are not tailored, so it doesn't stand out. ChatGPT will help you tailor your resume to match those job descriptions, and will also do the cover letter. It'll adjust keywords and phrases to align with employer requirements, and then optimize points based on job-specific skills and experience. So I'm going to leave this presentation and pull up. Can you all see Google on my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. I cannot see you all, so that's why I was waiting there. So I'm on Google, and if I look up ChatGPT, it will be the first link, chatgpt.com. So what I'm going to do here is I have a resume for a Jordan Mitchell, which is not a real person. And it's just a very general resume, nothing too special about it. And I'm interested in applying to a custodian job at UVA. So this one here is custodian housing, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. That is perfect. So what I'm going to do here is ask ChatGPT to please tailor this resume. And then I'm going to add a colon, space. Now you can attach the document directly. You may need an account. Oops, what am I doing here? Or so you can attach it by going into your files and uploading it, or you can just go to your resume, highlight all of the content, copy, paste it. So we have all the content of the resume. And in order to create a new line in ChatGPT, you must hit space and then hold shift and hit enter. And all that does is allow you to, it's like in an Excel spreadsheet where you have to hold control, I believe, and hit enter. But for this one, it's shift enter. And it's not necessary for AI to understand what it is you're trying to say, but for organizational purposes, I do it. So if you're having issues with that simple, small thing, don't worry about it. All you can do is then say to this job. So I had initially, please tailor this resume, and I pasted all the content, and then I said to this job. Now I'm going to go back to that job, and I'm going to highlight all of the job description. Oops. Okay, I'm giving too much information here. We don't need the process. Okay. Copy, paste. So now all of the job description is in ChatGPT. It looks messy, but it'll do it for you. Now all you do is click enter and let the magic happen. So now you can see this resume is tailored to the custodial position. So some of the core skills are right off the bat: custodial and housekeeping support, cleaning and sanitization practices, et cetera, et cetera. So in their work experience, you can see that there is language such as clean, safe, orderly, customer facing, cleanliness, cleaning, right? These are all relevant words for the job. And this is it. I would just take all of this and I would copy it and I would open a new Word document. And then I would simply paste it in here. Now, every time I paste anything from ChatGPT into Microsoft Word, the formatting is all screwed up. So I highlight everything. And a simple format I like to go and do is 10 font, keep it at Aptos. That's a very plain font. 1 for spacing, and then remove space after paragraph. And then for layout, I like to do margins to be narrow, so it creates more space, and boom, we got it all fit in one page. And that's it. When you save it, if it looks good, you can save it as a PDF. And when you find where you want to save it, you will just click here and select PDF and then hit save. Oh, I did not mean to stop sharing, but I did mean to exit that page. So, does anyone have any questions regarding how to use ChatGPT to tailor your resume to any job? All right, no questions. So this QR code will take you to a survey, which will allow you to fill out some information.
Sorry, Miss Elijah.
Yes, question.
So me, I have a question. Sorry, I'm using my phone. Is not very well to.
No problem.
My daughter she take my computer to school, so I just keep following everything you teach us. I think the best way, if I supposed to have my computer with me, that I can follow all the steps use. Just so quickly, I just submit my new resume to you,
Okay.
and I would like when you get a chance to check to see if there is any change you can make.
Yeah,
And
certainly.
also, I would like it to apply to reapply to keep helping me to reapply. I need a um job at least for anyone you land.
Okay.
Last time when we meet, I think a couple months ago, last year, I reapplied for phlebotomist. In when you learn, look like we push, I think until May, if I have good memory. So I would like it to meet in person when you are available.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll schedule a meeting definitely, Derek. Just send me an email and we'll get a meeting, okay?
And another thing is, if you're looking at it from your phone and you can't see all the contents, we're going to also upload this from to our YouTube channel. You can access that through our Facebook page if you follow that, or pretty much reach out to Elijah or myself. I can put my information, our information in the chat box, and we can send you this as well.
Yeah. So yeah, this tool is here for you all. Just fill it out and you should be hearing back from us with a resume. And then here is some additional contact information. So our website, jobs.virginia.edu/us/en/pipelines pathways, our cell number, and then of course our email, which would probably be the best way to reach us, or actually directly to one of our either myself or Reyshawn's email, which she will be dropping in the chat. And then yeah, this is really just to help prepare you all for our job fair, career and community fair on March 10th coming up. So any questions, final thoughts, questions?
What
Real,
is
go ahead.
March Fair on March 10 gonna be? Is the same place, location, please?
It's going to be at the PVCC Bolick Center. Just give me 1 second. I can get you the address. Are you currently working with Elijah?
Uh, yeah, he's working with Antonio, but
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Well,
I'll in the chat really quickly. Hold on.
this time I need to work with Elijah.
All right. Hey Elijah,
do
can
we
you
have?
go back to the I'm sorry, I'm jumping back to the screen where it shows like the good versus the bad, just to verify. If you all need to see this more information more, you can screenshot it. But just a reminder of what that looked like.
Yes.
Perfect.
Oops.
Perfect. Thanks. Any more questions?
I have a question. So I am looking to just completely change careers. So
Hmm.
I've got just 25 years worth of just really technical information, which sounds like to me now I maybe that's where I'm going wrong because I'm putting all of that information on there. So it sounds like to me I just need to highlight my transferable skills. Is
Yep.
is
It
that
is
the okay?
simply that at the end of the day, every job is going to have transferable skills. It's just being able to identify and articulate them. And that is easier said than done, which is why I'm so grateful for tools such as ChatGPT that can do that for you. So when you are uploading your own resume, what it's doing is it's looking at some of those job descriptions you have in your resume and then comparing it to the job you're applying to and seeing where those transferable skills are. Because it can assume that if you did this job, that, based on what you said you did, it can assume that this is transferable. And then, of course, you would read over it to make sure it aligns. Usually it does. And yeah, and mhm.
And so that would be so you would just have that under skills and not necessarily work experience. So if you just
Well,
have
it would be both. It would be both. So if it's a hard or soft skill, you would highlight it as such. But if it's in the description as skills that if it's a skill that can be meshed into the description of the job, uh, then you would also include it there. So some of those skills you might see in the job description and also in just that skills section.
okay.
Mhm. And if you need help with your resume and identifying that career transition, we'll be more than happy to work with you. So, like I said here, we've got our contact info, or you can reach out to us directly.
Okay, you will actually be hearing from me probably at least I'll send an email sometime today to at least
Awesome.
get that ball rolling. I did
Yeah.
apply for the pipelines and pathways and never did hear anything. So
Okay.
maybe it was the resume that I uploaded that kind of
Okay. Yeah. We'll look into that. I'll get back with you on that one. Um,
okay.
well, for now, if there are no other questions, I'm going to stop our recording. Doesn't mean you'll have to leave, but just for the sake of everyone watching this, if there are no other questions
I
that
have
would
one
contribute.
question.
Yes, Roma.
So yeah, I have been applying like for last 3 years for different positions. Like my field is finance and accounting, but I've never been shortlisted. I don't know why, but my resume has like all the specifications that you mentioned like recently. And currently I'm working in a company with the position of staff accountant. But I was like, what's wrong? Like, is there a system which shortlists like all applicant CVs or no? It's like I don't know what's wrong, but all the more than 25 or 30 position which I've like starting from junior, I was like, okay, maybe let's start from junior, but I've never been shortlisted. So
Yeah.
is there a system
There
which
is.
is
So, Roma, what I would highly encourage you to do is to meet with one of us one-on-one so we can look in more depth at your applications that you submitted and we can see what transpired. But for everyone's knowledge, the way that UVA applications work is when you submit an application, the funnel, the way it works is that that initial application will go into the review phase, which is where the recruiter will uh, depict or decipher those who qualify, meet the minimum requirements for that job versus don't. So that initial review phase is where that occurs. If the recruiter deems you as someone who qualifies for the position minimally, then you'll move on to the next phase, which is this hiring manager screen phase. And in your application, you should see it as the screen phase. And that's where the hiring manager will then determine whether or not they want to interview you.
Okay.
But yes, Roma, definitely we should connect and we'll look more in depth at your case.
Sure, I
And
will
same with
again.
you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. And same with you, Candice and Derek as
Okay.
well. So, and anyone else. So you have our information here. Please reach out. Do we have any final questions?
Yes, Mr. Elijah. I need your availability. You can email me your
Yeah, I'll send you an email,
date.
Derek.
When you're
All right.
available, I can come in person
Yeah.
meet you too. Thank you.
Sounds good. All
And then
righty.
Elijah, can you put your email up again? I'm going to take a quick snapshot of it so I will have that.
I put that in the group chat. Are you able to see the group chat?
Let me see. Oh, hang on. Oh, gosh. Let me get my camera up real quick and then I don't
Yeah,
have to worry about it. Thank you, guys.
You